Welcome, dear listener, to Journey with M. And today we're going to talk about our freedom, something I'm guessing most of us want more of. And today we have with us Luisa Klein and Philippe Siedel. And I'll let them say a few words about who they are or who they would like to define themselves as. So, a very warm welcome, Luisa and Philip.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to talk to you.
Nice to have this episode. This is the first time we're three people musing the subject. Would you like to say a few words about yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Caroline Luisa and I'm originally from Germany. I think now over 6 years ago, we decided to follow really our calling. There must be another way to meet the world and to feel free while you're doing what is, your purpose or what you like to create. And so we decided to let go everything and took the ride to a fully new, existence where we were blessed with many miracles when we allowed to follow this track and path.
Beautiful.
And
I also want to ask you more, but do you also want to say a few words about who you are, Philip?
Absolutely. I'm Philip. I'm Louis' 16-year-long life partner and business partner. And I'm also from Germany. And we're in Greece and we have our lovely cashmere business, which has died and was reborn several times within the last 10 years we have the company. And this place and plot here in Greece, where we've decided to create our new freedom, is like a very big part of it. And I guess that's where we're going to get more to the topic of freedom.
Yes. Can I ask any one of you what opened up this idea of being able to have more freedom?
actually, crisis. Having this feeling of sadness and kind of getting up every day and feeling not fully fulfilled and also not truly authentic and kind of adapting to the system, then feeling this kind of cage took so much energy to play that game.
I can be a little bit more specific if you want to.
Please, if you want to.
So, the last 10 years, our life was mainly all about the brand. And the pain came from being workaholics and pretty close to burnout because we've been working with the retail business, which is very own kind of rhythm, flow, and with its own demands. And that one just slowly depleted us over the years. And that was 2020 then when we decided, okay, we don't want to live this life
Shortly
like this
before
anymore.
Corona.
Oh yeah, that was lucky.
Yeah, that's very lucky.
That was very lucky. We were probably working with the retail and having Corona. We probably would have been gone then because like that everything broke down. So, but like shortly before, we decided, okay, we don't want to work together with the retail anymore and become independent. And that was the starting point for us to say, okay, we're gonna quit that business as it is. We reinvented ourselves, but that's when we decided to move, explore the world, and finally ended up here in Greece.
And the question is if it was lucky or maybe we felt already that there is a big change to come and we kind of were brave enough to follow this calling. Because if we would have stayed keeping this up because we were thinking this is how we should do it, it would have been really
sad.
Yeah, and like really problematic also in terms of the business. So we really took the right jump in the right time because we allowed to listen what our soul and heart was telling us.
And this is so important, like part of maybe seeking and trusting that there will be more freedom is to sense into things and look beyond what we see and maybe also surrender. But
yes,
before we go deeper, and maybe I should have asked this in the beginning, how would you define freedom?
For me personally, I got a pretty short one. Freedom very much is the option to decide what I want to do whenever I want is a pretty big part of it.
Yeah.
For me, is freedom to allow myself actually to express myself in creation, whatever I feel called to, and yeah, to truly be myself, to be really authentic in whatever I long for or where my desires go, and yeah, to be truly seen and naked as I am in an authentic way, I think.
Nice too.
Beautiful. Do you want to hear a bit a drier definition that I found when I Googled?
Yes, please.
Okay. Freedom is a multifaceted concept defining the ability to act, speak, and pursue choices without arbitrary restrictions, often enshrined in human rights frameworks and legal protections.
Yeah. Covers quite a lot.
Yeah.
But also, I feel everyone has the ability to create or to express their freedom, but still value also to for the other to express their freedom, kind of like, and to respect at the same time. If it interferes with others, also boundaries, to be respectful for that too.
Yeah.
It's sort of like be and allow to be.
The question that comes up for me now is like, what are the restrictions to freedom, if there are any? Like, for example, if we talk about the freedom of speech, would you encourage someone complimenting and, let's say, cursing someone equally, or what rules would you apply?
Yeah, I think it's really to allow both parties kind of to express in speech everything in a free way, kind of, and to be okay with that someone else has a different way of seeing reality.
But it should never be in a way that it actually harms other people. So, like, that's sort of a borderline, I guess, because expression shouldn't be harmful or freedom shouldn't be harmful towards others because you just take the right to do and say whatever you want because that's energetically not okay.
Yeah, on the other hand, like sometimes you say something and it will hurt another one because it's triggering their trauma or something. So then who is taking responsibility for it? But and there I think it starts, because to see that the point of view of another person may hurt you, but it was just to express, for instance, to say no, and the other one will feel hurt. This doesn't mean you should not express authentic voice of what you truly feel or believe,
kind
right?
of true, yeah, because the hurt part only kicks in basically when you take something personal, when you have like a personal entanglement with what is brought towards you in terms of freedom.
Yeah. So do you believe that the government should restrict like certain freedoms for the sake of increased security?
Well, I guess it comes down to the harm part again. Like, as soon as it gets harmful for the public or for individuals, obviously we need some kind of restriction, as sad as it is, because in the utopia you wouldn't need all this, because we're also aware that we don't even have the need and necessity of these paths, let's say. In terms of governing, like, bigger amounts of people, humanity, sort of, there's obviously we require some guidelines. To which extent is the question. The way we have it right now doesn't seem like the right way because it doesn't bring to fruition or doesn't resolve it finally. But that's a very big topic because it strongly refers to the awareness of the individual and also the experience they made within their lifetime. And then we get back to patterns and childhood and stuff that has happened and who you have become, not voluntarily necessarily, because stuff was brought to you or upon you.
And I also think it relates to the question, what is kind of light and what is dark and what is chaos and order, kind of. And if we really need to restrict chaos because it might break what is needed to be, to die or to break, like it's very.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes like we kind of lose ourselves in this feeling of what is right and what is wrong in this reality. Going back now in our journey, Corona was like a big, for instance, only something bad, but there was also very good things happening.
Yeah.
And that's all the time, I think, the case. And when we judge, we are not able to see or to dive in both realities where even the dark times bring something good.
So true.
Yeah. I listened, like when I was a kid, my mother told me always a Zen story about the white horse, which was in a village running away. And then the village judged, oh my God, this is a loss. And the guy who owned the horse said, we just don't know. And then it brought good, like it's a long story back and forth, but always people judging what was bad and what was good. And in the end, he always said, you never know for what it is good for.
Yeah, I also learned a lot from now when you mentioned the corona. It opened my eyes for a lot of things, and I had before blindly trusted authorities, or let's say half blindly, and now I'm like, I need to really dig deeper and connect with my heart what is true and what is not. And the same with the genocide in Palestine. It also opened my eyes up for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I guess now that we talked about the government, you said it's become a bit too much with the controlling and restrictions. And I guess that's why you now live off grid. Do you feel like you have more freedom now?
We feel like the system we were told to live within, or we feel like we are told, I don't know, there are so many ways. And now I think we have a lot of freedom actually to choose, but we are so afraid to escape it because that's how it's supposed to work. That's how everyone is doing it. That's how we got told in school and so on. This is how the marketing works. This is how, like that we are forgetting multiple ways of living this life. It helped us to feel more free again and to find our own rhythm in life.
Yeah, I also think like the thing with the freedom is and authorities. So authorities like give you a good guideline and they take responsibilities from you. So they're pretty convenient up until some point because you don't have to take care of certain things and therefore also don't have to take that responsibilities because you're sort of told what to do. At the same time, people aren't really happy with what they're stuck in the system. Because they do. Usually, we always feel like we would like to have things different and something doesn't feel right and we're not living the full potential. So the thing with the freedom then is we have the freedom to choose whatever we want and to make it a reality. Uh, at the same time, in order to do that, we have to take full responsibility for ourselves. And this is the part that scares a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because once you do that, you automatically, and even more, because we're all raised in the system and we're getting closer and closer to not wanting to have this kind of system anymore.
Yeah.
What comes with it is that, like, in order to step into your freedom, you have to get comfortable with not knowing how it's going to turn out because you're stepping into a field that's not totally controllable. That's where you have to have the trust or develop the trust that whatever comes out is going to be for the benefit of you. That's sort of something like a conviction you sort of need or desirably would have because like you step into the unknown with the trust that no matter how that path will be, in the end, it's going to be good and meant to be the way it is.
It serves you.
Yeah.
And that is
Mhm.
sort of, it seems almost like freedom is like something you develop. And that's like a scary part as well, because you really have to take responsibility for yourself and develop the trust and work it out.
Yeah.
And the unknown part is the scary thing. Um, but also, it's very exciting because there is so much potential in it. And it is a tool of growth. Freedom is growth, also.
Tell me more about that. How is freedom growth?
Because you step into the unknown, you're gonna be sort of attacked by unknown feelings and unknown thoughts you have, and you're gonna have to adapt to these, cultivate these, and you're gonna have to take the responsibility of, how to say, observing these thoughts and experiences and transforming them according to the way you want to feel freedom. So it's a multi-layer thing, basically. It's like a mindset, it's a thought layer, it's a feeling level. You have to bring all these things together in order to sculpture the freedom.
Yes, I think like in a practical way, for instance, in our case, say back 2020, we had this feeling of we don't feel authentic anymore in how we live this brand towards the system with the retailers, going to the fairs in their rhythm, creating the collections as they admire it. And then seeking or longing for a different way of freedom, we needed to jump, be brave enough to say, okay, we give everything up, and trusting that when we do that, we will find a new way which is serving us and our creativity, and to build something which was not known back then. So it cost everything in the first moment, to do that. Like, it was so fucking scary, but we followed it, and then through several years, but it transformed to a way of doing our business now in our rhythm, in our time. And now everyone would look probably at our brand saying, oh, that's a very nice marketing concept. But it didn't, appeared out of a thought. It came through really allowing to be our own nature, our own authentic being. And then through that, the success came also because people felt, oh, this is authentic. This is really from the heart, from the love of creation.
Yeah.
And it worked out. But it only was possible because we were able to say, okay, let's check. And this costs a lot of
Courage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Courage, and also maybe, like you said, conviction. Like that's what kept you going.
Yeah, also I had always this belief that I wanted to prove, kind of, because I always felt in my gut there must be a way of, enjoying life and feeling free, and that this will be rewarded, kind of like but I had no proof. I was following other people who maybe already were a good example, and who were telling it's possible, but you can only experience it. You can be like, if you experience it in your own body, kind of, oh wow, it worked out for me.
Yeah, it sounds like freedom is quite relative and maybe individual. So how would you say freedom has changed over time? Like what was important to do to free ourselves before compared to now?
Oh, that's a big question. Well, like nowadays, as a society, I think we, first of all, have the luxury
Also
to.
depends on where we are in the world, right?
Yeah.
Because I think in our region in Europe, we are very free already, and I'm very thankful and I feel privileged
Hmm.
to live this life as we do, because it's not normal in other parts of the world. So, like now we live in a democracy, but in other times it was, say, the queen and the king ruling the part. So it was different, like from the law, kind of how you were restricted.
Mm.
And still, always, as we look back in history, there were moments where people decided to break free and were kind of going on the street, whatever. And like, I think we forgot in all that how powerful we are.
Yeah.
And that and the moment we think that we are ruled by anything in the world, and that we are more powerful if we also kind of gather and go for what we think is our right as a human, there were always these breakthroughs in history till now. And we are again at the point, I think, where things are changing quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think freedom has been there all the time. So, like, freedom itself throughout time never changed.
Mm-hmm.
Just is a matter of how do you.
There was a layer of
Like the sense of
different
freedom, you
rules.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can choose to be free at any point, depending on in which society you are, obviously.
Yeah.
But
You're gonna
even
have more or less restrictions, but like if you follow through, you still do have the same freedom, given freedom at any point.
even people, like, saying they're in the prison and they free themselves even in the prison because
Yeah.
they detach. So
Like free your
yeah,
mind. Free your
yes.
mind. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or the truth will set you free. Like if you even utter, or acknowledge the truth of your present state, then that in itself is freedom. Like I'm in prison, I'm
exactly.
enslaved. So
And it also
interesting.
reminds me of like freedom with, let's say, poor societies.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually way more happy if we connect it to happiness.
Mm.
Um, they're oftentimes more happy through the simplicity of life
Yeah.
than bigger societies caught up in this like work labor exchange system. That's very like the connection of freedom and happiness is a
Yeah.
great one as well.
Definitely they go hand in hand, I think. And I'm thinking also when we mentioned democracies, and like you said, it's changing so fast now. And I'm thinking with the US, for example, for me, it doesn't feel like a democracy now anymore.
Yeah.
And
No.
so, like you said, it's a state of mind. Like you can be free anywhere, anytime, depending on your state of mind.
Yeah.
That's probably the only real truth behind it,
Mm.
since from that perspective, you have all the options you could possibly desire, and you can transform it into real life.
Yeah. So, was there an unexpected experience or thing that happened when you moved off grid that made you feel less free? Even though we just said that it's a state of mind, but like when it first happened, you're like, what? This is not what I expected.
Yes. And also there, it still happens. For instance, you live at the sea, perfect sunshine, blue water, kind of everything is perfect
Yeah.
when you look out of your glasses in this circumstances you are in the moment. And still, I feel sometimes when I'm in my dark phase or whatever, I feel like stuck in myself. I create my own cage, and taking this step out of the system was showing me so that even though I created now the life I was always dreaming of, it doesn't change if it's not in myself. Like,
Wow.
because then now there's no excuse anymore, because
Mm.
we have this freedom, we have all that what we always dreamt of, And still, there are coming days, and just recently it was quite strong, where you feel how, restricted you are in your inner world if you kind of feel stuck in yourself. And then the only one you can blame, because then there's no one you can say, this, I'm a victim,
Yeah.
it's yourself. And this is kind of very, very powerful. And sometimes also, yeah, you feel lost in it because you know you are the only one who can free yourself.
The same refers to relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In what way you mean?
Like, yeah, oftentimes we blame the partner for
Mm.
things because you also choose the partner that reflects exactly the wounds or the lacks you have,
Yeah.
right? They're like the biggest trigger because you're basically looking at yourself. So it
Mm.
makes it very easy to blame
Project.
something on the outside in general, project exactly. So that's why it refers also very much to relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we as humans cannot become like 100% free. Like we still need to eat and sleep. Like we can say we're enslaved to those materialistic things. But do you have aspirations to become at least more free? And how would that look like?
Yeah, I think for myself speaking, I kind of realizing more and more how still, even though creating the freedom in the outer world, it's so much connected to the inner world. And I think I'm still there in the process of alchemy to free myself more and more, and also to be very gentle, acknowledging the healing process I'm in, that will always have dark days and allowing them to emerge because they are for me, for transformation and to see even deeper. Even in, like religion, that the dark is something we need like to push out of our lives, but the soil and the seed is placed in the dark earth, and then it emerges again and then it dies. And
Yeah.
this kind of circle of transformation is keep on going, I think, till we die and re-awake.
Yes.
It's also important to know that, like, for the last 10 years, or let's say 8, because we're pretty fine now since the last 2 years business wise, we've been only working to establish our brand. Took us 8 years to get there. Like, we let it die 2 times in those 8 years and reinvented ourselves, always getting closer and adapting to our personal freedom. And now we finally found the rhythm that like suits us and our lifestyle, our values. So
Yeah.
that's why we're pretty happy. So it's important to know that the last 8 years we were like so workaholic because we wanted to secure our 3D world existence. Also in terms of money, because that supposedly gives you safety, right? And we've managed that. So the last 2 years, we're more and more indulging into this emotional state of freedom and turning inside and exploring. Because once you manage the 3D world on the outside, the sadness and what we just said, like the bad times and these still stay. So
You'd start
You
looking
realize it.
inwards.
exactly, and that's where we're more and more exploring. The follow-up freedom comes from, and that's like the balance of exploring the duality of the good and the bad, the light and the shadow,
Yeah.
and the coexistence of it, and allowing both parts to be there.
And it's interesting.
Yeah,
Sorry. It's interesting when
yeah, go.
when you say like when you secure your 3D world, then you start looking inwards. And I'm wondering if when you start looking inwards, that you talking of responsibility, that you then also might start having the responsibility of freeing other people or securing their 3D worlds.
Yeah, and on the other hand, also this was a big learning for me because, like, where does it start and where does it end? If in the moment we think we can save someone, we still keep up the trauma triangle. This is actually something I could see how misunderstood love is, because in this world we think what we love we should save, kind of like, or we feel like so drawn to save others we love, and how easily we start to be the saver.
Yeah.
But what does it actually mean that we keep something alive which is maybe willing to die? And if you are very honest, the pain which is actually this, because if you need to witness someone deciding, I destroy myself, I die, what do you need to, like, to open yourself to feel? You need to feel the pain. And this pain we try to escape from, so we try to save others. And then the question is if you really act out of love or again for yourself.
Yeah.
Or you can offer your help, but in the moment you try to be the savior, messias, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the key word here was you can like always offer help. And that's a big difference, offering help and going in there as a savior.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the intention of like, I'm going to save you versus I offer help if you want.
Yeah. You cannot save the world.
So finally, what would you say is the greatest threat to freedom?
Well, if we like digitalization and governmental structures are definitely a threat to freedom. We have this German expression to become gläsern, to become like glass. Like we become transparent, yeah, fully transparent to the system. So that definitely is a threat to freedom on that 3D.
But also there you can choose. You can choose still to be absent from the digital world. Yeah, you can. If you want to, it's possible.
If they let you, I mean, if I think about drones and stuff, they're going to be just hovering over you on off-grid place, and they're going to, so.
It's also, I think sometimes the threat is that we kind of assume that this will make me free or that will make me free. And like you misalign with what you want and maybe what is meant for you.
Yeah.
But I feel also to be really free is like also in terms of societies. Actually, now we are entering a new phase where we need to admit that we are always interconnected and that we need to take responsibility for our interconnection and to acknowledge that we are not fully autonomic like a forest. Like if the tree would say, I'm more important than the grass, and the grass thinks the same, and they would not acknowledge that without the shade of the tree, like the grass couldn't exist, or the roots of the tree would burn when the grass would not cover the roots. Like to see, even though we need to be rooted in our own authentic being, we need each other, because I think there a new definition of freedom is also marked without being dependent but still interconnected.
Yeah.
And what does it mean to be free then if we're interconnected?
And I also think a threat to freedom is on the individual level, personal level, is to fall asleep and not constantly challenge yourself to explore the potential you have and take the state you are in as given, sort of as the limit, but just to challenge yourself to surpass limits constantly in order to evolve and actually explore and figure out what freedom can be more than what we think it is right now.
I love that.
Thank
That's
you.
a beautiful ending to this episode. But you're also very free to add a final idea or sentence if you want.
My prayer for freedom would be that we can see again how connected we are, like to feel safe again in connection. Yeah.
I love that. I say amen to that prayer.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Louis and Philip.
Yes, thank you too.
And thank you to all our listeners, and see you on the journey with M.